How to Become a Gentleman Villain. While Ed Rothtailor reads alone under the tree, Marilda said, "So, are you going to continue that awkward mutual respect formal speech play with Janica?" Ed Rothtailor said. "Why are you asking when you saw everything?" Marilda said, "I'm not so free that I can follow you all the way to the academy. I was just wondering if anything interesting happened in class." Ed Rothtailor said, "It's been the same as yesterday." As Ed Rothtailor talks to Janica Faylover, he says, "It's nice to see you." And she suddenly gets frightened, stepping back in the halls. Ed Rothtailor said, "It was strangely uncomfortable. Maybe she's expressing her underlying stress in a unique way. I didn't think much of it at first, but now I'm wondering if something's up with her." Marilda said, So what I'm hearing is..." She steps down from the branch and continues, "You're worried about her?" Ed Rothtailor said, "Of course I am." Marilda said, "Oh ho," Ed Rothtailor said, "moving on. Can I snap a couple of branches off this tree? I want to make a thunderstruck 1,000-year-old wooden cane." Marilda said, "What? You're trying to make another tool? Here I was, wondering if you were too distracted thinking about Janica, but you're always busy." Though. "You don't need my permission for a few branches." Ed Rothtailor said, "Isn't it your tree?" The name of it is literally Marilda's guardian tree. Marilda said, It's a bit convoluted. If I were to be exact, I'm protecting the forest. Because of an old friend who decided to put my name on this tree as they pleased." Ed Rothtailor said, "An old friend. Well, you have lived a long life, so it's a given you've had many relationships." Marilda said, "Problem 1. Why do spirits take the form of animals? I had the form of a human from the start, and I told you that wasn't easy, right? The reason spirits take the shape of animals is that animals are the most familiar and convenient in terms of access. They have an easier time copying their forms, then just as I had to do the same thing to gain a human form. Just who did I copy?" Ed Rothtailor said, "Who knows?" Marilda said, "I've made a contract with you, so I can read your thoughts." And Ed Rothtailor said, "And what?" Marilda said, "I took on a form that's closest to your ideal type." Ed Rothtailor said, "This is my taste. That's you unexpected." Marilda said, "Of course it is. I just lied after all." As Ed Rothtailor looks at her silently, she gets frustrated and says, "Are you joking?" Marilda said, "Reading your thoughts isn't plausible, and transformation is a very difficult kind of magic. So I can't just copy anyone. I've lived a long time, so long that Sylvania Academy's rises and falls simply seem cute to me. I met this child back when Arkan Island was uninhabited, before the academy was established. She didn't dress fancily and was always easygoing. My appearance is how she looked." Ed Rothtailor said, "Wait, is it?" Marilda said, "She was the most special and unique person I've ever met." Ed Rothtailor said to himself, "Infusing mana into this guardian tree, using it as an energy source, establishing this school, and having Marilda protect this forest. This isn't a relationship that can be learned in the game. So this was how they were connected. The unparalleled mage and scholar. It was the great sage Sylvania." A few moments later, at end night, Janica Faylover said to Ed Rothtailor while he peels his apple, "Hey." Janica Faylover looks at the sky, avoiding eye contact with Ed Rothtailor, nervously saying, "Bolo? No, hi, hello." Rothtailor continues to peel his apple, saying, "Ah, yes, want some apples? Would you like some apples?" Janica Faylover said, Yes." As she sat on the log, Ed Rothtailor looks at her and says, "Please pass your plate." Janica Faylover said, "Here." Ed Rothtailor sweats while looking at Janica Faylover and says to himself, "What should I do?" As Janica Faylover eats the slice of apple, Ed Rothtailor continues to tell himself, "I'd prefer we either speak formally or don't, and just stick with it." As Janica Faylover covers her face and trembles, Ed Rothtailor said, What is it, Janica? Are you hurt somewhere?" Janica Faylover said, "No, I just think it'll be difficult to say this while looking at you. So, Ed, young Master Ed, there's something I'd like to ask, but it's a question that might sound really strange. So just hear me out until the end before replying." "Please," Ed Rothtailor said. Phew. As he continues to peel the apple, he says to himself, "Right, regardless of my body, I'm an adult. If it's something she's having such difficulty bringing up, let's not be taken aback. Just listen." Janica Faylover looks at Ed Rothtailor and blushes before saying, "What do you think of me leaving Dex Hall to come live with you here at the camp?" Ed Rothtailor stares back at her and accidentally cuts his thumb, not feeling anything. As blood squirts, Janica Faylover shouts in shock, "Ah!" The blood continues to flow, and Janica Faylover exclaims, "Ed! You okay? Are you okay?" A few moments later, the fire crackles as Ed Rothtailor speaks to himself. Whether it was living outside or fighting, since I've lived like this for a year, I thought I could handle any situation smoothly. Ed Roth-Taylor sighs, while touching his wound and continues thinking, but it's a relief I cut my finger. It gave me time to organize my thoughts. Ed Roth-Taylor said, first, this is probably something you expected me to say, but still I'll address it. While I wonder if there's any purpose in saying this outright, I think of you as someone incredibly kind and sincere. I'm sure it isn't just me who sees you that way, but I like you a lot. Suddenly, Janica Failover's eyes widen as she blushes like a teapot. Ed Roth-Taylor continues, with that being said, I feel the need to express the fact that I am a man. Listen carefully, Janica. I don't know how you see yourself. As Janica Failover's head steams from heat, Ed Roth-Taylor continues, but you have quite a lovely charm. You are beautiful. While I can stay considerate and gentle at the moment, I don't know what may happen if we live under the same roof. As Janica Failover continues to heat up, tears well in her eyes, and she stammers, wait, let me catch my breath. Ed Roth-Taylor adds, to be precise, men in general are similar in some ways, and I'm thankful you trust me, but still, Janica Failover interrupts, still, if it's you, I'm okay with it, Ed. Ed Roth-Taylor is shocked as he blushes as well. Janica Failover, already above boiling point, mutters, ah. As they look at each other while the fire crackles, Ed Roth-Taylor thinks to himself, for a while it felt as if Janica and I were balancing on the tightrope of a strange boundary. Ed Roth-Taylor stands up. Janica Failover softly calls, Ed. Ed Roth-Taylor thinks to himself, speaking in a polite manner without rhyme or reason made things feel both familiar and unfamiliar. After the arduous and grueling student council president election, and just when I finally felt at ease, a sense of freedom returning to camp, Janica's sudden proposal of cohabitation came out of nowhere. Janica Failover thinks to herself, can you endure this? Can you restrain yourself? This situation was practically urging me, enticing me to let go of my rationality. Suddenly, Ed Roth-Taylor speaks, Janica. Ed Roth-Taylor thinks to himself, however, he sits down closer to her and asks, are you going through something difficult? Ed Roth-Taylor thinks, whenever something unexpected happens, there's always a reason behind it. Considering how Janica is bringing this up out of the blue, I have to consider if there's a factor behind the scenes. Janica Failover looks up at the sky and sighs, really, Ed? There's nothing you don't know. I must have wanted to run away. I've missed the days when I had a single room in Ophilus Hall. I must seem like an idiot, right? Ed Roth-Taylor thinks to himself, from the beginning. For Janica, who even went berserk because of the pressure of everyone's eyes, living in the normal dorms of Dex Hall was no easy task. For an entire year, she endured everyone's relentless gazes, forcing herself to kindly smile in response. Janica Failover continues, this camp, it's kind of been like a refuge for me. So I guess I wanted to escape here if it was possible. I'm sure it must have been burdensome for you to hear, Ed. It's not something that would get resolved by running away, and it must be burdensome for you. But I still wanted to ask, just once. Heh. Ed Roth-Taylor chuckles, ha. Janica Failover murmurs, yeah. Ed Roth-Taylor said, but you know, Janica, isn't the issue of it being burdensome to me completely unrelated? Janica Failover, confused, asked, huh? Ed Roth-Taylor continued, life is about being a burden to others while carrying the burden of others. Of course, if I ever feel a burden isn't worth carrying, next time I'll just make a burdensome request in return. It's not like we're only going to know each other for a short while, so isn't it something that can be solved through give and take? Our relationship is going to last for a long time. Janica Failover hesitated. Then, Ed Roth-Taylor said, I still think it's a bit too much for us to live under the same roof, but how does another hut sound? He thought to himself, I thought Janica would jump up and down in joy, knowing her personality, but instead, Janica Failover suddenly hugged him. Oof, Ed Roth-Taylor exclaimed, startled. Her reaction differed from what he expected. Janica Failover whispered, yeah, thanks. Ed Roth-Taylor noticed, you're not speaking formally anymore. Janica Failover completely forgot and gasped, hick. Ed Roth-Taylor gently placed a hand on her head and thought to himself, Janica seemed to try creating some distance but ultimately failed. What really would have changed if she had succeeded? She's a girl who will always step up to help when someone needs it. While I'm sure her kindness will never be fully repaid, if someone like that were on the floor, crying, no matter how much the relationship had soured, one wouldn't be able to resist and would place a hand on her shoulder. Well, even if I say that, building another hut is no easy feat. I need to prepare for lessons, finish creating the cane quickly, and I've already lost sleep trying to figure out how to adjust my schedule. Suddenly, Ed Roth-Taylor heard noises outside. He opened the door and Tarkin stood there. Ah, you're awake, Ed Roth Taylor, Tarkin said. I need your advice. I have no experience in building huts. As Ed looked around, he saw spirits gathered outside, already working on Janica Failover's new hut. Tarkin observed, You seem tired. Honestly, I'm the same. In the spirit world, I partied all night since there was a celebration. Well, regardless. Now that there's a hut to be built. We finished picking the location. It seemed best to place it on the opposite end. Ed Roth Taylor thought to himself as he watched the spirits work so fast. Tarkin smirked. It's kind of romantic to open the doors in the morning and see each other, right? A fox spirit chimed in. Well, it doesn't seem like it'd be bad to build it next door either. But it might feel a little stuffy, and some privacy should be maintained. Another spirit hummed. The fox spirit continued. Perhaps like this. No, maybe building it as close as possible is best, his friend interjected. Suddenly, Mug, a fire spirit, landed on Ed Roth Taylor's shoulder. Sir Tarkin, the general plan is to finish in 10 days, Mug announced with a snappy salute. This fire spirit, Mug, as the scene head of command, shall do their very best to make work as efficient as possible. Tarkin suddenly looked at Mug seriously and said, 10 days. Mug, now nervous, stammered, Indeed. After considering the lower-ranked spirit's rotation shifts and breaks, that's the plausible time frame. Of course, there's definitely a possibility of reducing that time, depending on progression. Tarkin, his voice fiery with authority, said, Back in my day, it was normal to carry the spirit sorcerer for 3 days straight, hike snowy mountains for a week, and battle the very next day without a problem. Now that it's your day, there are more spirit sorcerers, so it's easier to form contracts. The lower-ranked spirits are taking it easier, resting well, eating well, and working on their own comfortable terms. When will you have a phase shift and reach mid-rank at this rate? Mug trembled and quickly adjusted. Then I will adjust the plans as much as possible and finish it within 1 week. Tarkin walked away saying, Ed Roth Taylor, I have work to do, so I will be off now. Mug turned back to Ed and declared, It will be finished in 5 days, so please endure it, even if it gets a bit noisy. Ed Roth Taylor, sweating, gasped. 5 days? It took me several months. Mug, determined, clenched his fists. If he says I have to do it, I have no choice. This fire spirit, Mug, I can do it. I can do it. Ed Roth Taylor sighed and thought to himself, I'm sorry, I really am, Mug. I didn't do this on purpose. A few moments later, Ed Roth Taylor took out his woodworking gear. Phew, he exhaled. At least my busy schedule is finally sorted out. Now, I have time to make the thunderstruck 1,000-year-old wooden cane. There were so many things that made me want to repay her. Giving her a place in the camp isn't enough, despite her already having many canes from her friends and family, and my uncertainty about whether she'll even like it since she uses an oak cane. I still hope Janica will like this. As Ed Roth Taylor worked on his large, solid, finely carved wooden cane, he remained deep in thought. Thank you so much for watching. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to help me grow my channel. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to leave a comment below. I love hearing from you. Let's keep the conversation going and get those analytics buzzing. Until next time, take care.